Welcome to Shooting the Bull, the official podcast of the Championship Darts Circuit. A casual conversation about the sport of darts, talking about topics of the day from a North American perspective, featuring a cast of characters and contributors from the CDC roster and the world of darts. Now here's your host, Anthony Eugenia.
Welcome on in, everybody, to the latest episode of Shooting the Bull, the official podcast of the Championship Darts Corporation. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful night with us. You can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Champ Darts. You can also find us on YouTube, searching the same at Champ Darts. This program will also be on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, etc. Please subscribe to that channel and give us a 5-star review if you like the product. We're going to look tonight, since we last left you, we're going to take a look back at weekends 4 and 5 on the Championship Dart Circuit. We're going to take a look at what's been going on at some events worldwide, and then we'll take a look moving forward as we finish up the circuit weekend 6, and we'll take a look at the rankings on who has a shot to go to the World Championships and who's going to the Continental Cup, etc. A lot of fun stuff, all right? So without further ado, let me bring in my contributor for this evening, a CDC commentator, an ESPN bull shooter commentator, and all-around action dad. It's Mr. Gordon Dixon. Look at that sharp mofo. Hello, brother. Welcome in.
Hey, good to see you, AE.
Oh, always great to see you, Gordo. Really great. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we're gonna just jump in a little bit, talk about what's been going on. We're gonna bring Jeff in, our director for the show and our all-around technical director on the circuit, about some cool production stuff that's been going on. But let's first jump into weekend number 4. Which let me go back. That was in Indianapolis at the beginning of August as we opened things up. In the dog days of summer, if you will. We've got a graphic, I think, if Jeff has it. Let's see the 3 winners from that weekend. In event number 8, we saw an informed Darryl Christie. Christie's had an amazing summer, and it sort of came to a crescendo here in event 8. He topped Jacob Taylor 7-5 in event 8. Then moving forward in event 9 was David Cameron. That was a set event. All right. So he took Jason Brandon 5-4 to take event number 9. And we'll see a little bit later in the show, Gordon and I will look, David Cameron really firming up his position to go back to the Alley Pally to represent Canada through the CDC. And then on Sunday, now this was a whole lot of fun. Stowe Buntz took on Adam Sevada in the final of event number 10, and it really seemed like a showdown. Thanks, Jeff. You can take it down. Give me Gordon again. So, Gordon, this is kind of where I'm happy to have you in this one. So, we're coming into that final of event 10, Buntz and Sevada. It was their 5th final of the year, right? We looked. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I was working with Sean Green, and he's the numbers, overall average were spot on. First 9s were spot on. So it felt like a real big showdown. And, Buntz gets him 7-6 in like a 99 to 93 average. So there was not much between them. But the fun stuff we were having, and we brought you up, not that long ago, we were talking about Larry Butler in the overall records with, circuit finals. And Larry's record is 9-1. And I think it was last summer, you were with us in Chicago. We're watching Leonard Gates make a big run, and he overtakes Larry in terms of his overall wins. But and I've got the list here. Yeah, Gates is 12-6 now. I forget what he was, but you gave us some crazy stat. Do you recall? I'll fill you in if you don't know what Gates needed to get somewhere, go on a tear to match Larry's 9-1. Does that ring a bell?
It does, but I to be honest, I don't remember.
It was something of in the essence of like, well, Leonard Gates needs to now go like 28-4
Oh
to
yeah,
like
I just did the
to
math to make it come out.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. You extrapolated the math, right? So I'm going to come back to that because this has now reared its head again. So it's this crazy number that well, that's good for Gates and he's got the overall number, but like to get to Larry's percentage of wins, it's like, well, you got to go 28-4, something like that, close, right? So, at the time we think pretty much, Larry Butler at 9-1, goodness gracious, how do you even like approach that? Like that's almost like these, oh, are you yeah, you're no, you're not a baseball guy, right? You're a football guy. I was trying to think of some baseball and I'm like, Gordon hates baseball, so we won't talk about, Joe DiMaggio streaks or nothing, nothing like that. But it seemed like 9-1 was almost one of those untouchables. Like that's going to hang around for quite a long time, right? But lo and behold, Adam Sevada goes on this run earlier this summer. He reels off 4 wins in a row. All right. So coming in to that final with Stowe Buntz, Adam Sevada was sitting at 7-1, Gordon. He's at 7-1. Sean and I were doing prep going like, holy cow, if he picks this thing up, that Butler thing is in jeopardy, right?
and that's just his finals, right? That's not even
Yes.
tournaments. If you look at his wins per tournament played, he's got to be. I can't imagine who's got a better win percentage just overall tournament. There, you're talking MVG kind of numbers and Phil Taylor kind of numbers. I mean, completely different circuit, but as far as like every time you see them in the field, their opportunity to win is double digits. I mean, that's incredible.
You're spot on, and I'll give Sean the credit for that. Sean had some of those numbers. Like, Sevada has just been, not nowhere short of dominant. This summer. I mean, that being said, we'll also bring in Stowe Buntz to talk about the summer Buntz is having. But you're right in that Sevada he's been there top 4s. I think nearly every event. It's been insane the amount of wins and legs and stuff. And I think we did touch on that right when he finally did get knocked out in event number 7, I think it was, in his bid for 5 in a row. I think he made the semis of that, right? So it was, Peter put something on social media, and I'm sure I can look it up, but if you want to find it, folks, is there the leg record, to your point about what Sevada had there. But so they clash in a big way, which is beginning to be a whole lot of fun. We put on social media that because like I said, up until that point, that's going into it's their a 5th final piece. Buntz to that point had won 2. He had lost 2, but they were both to Sevada. So like that's a real rivalry right now, but between those two.
Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, I talked about it before we went live. The top 4 are really. I mean, it's great to see. You got to give Christie his flowers. He's having a great summer. But that top 4, Sevada, Buntz, Cameron, and Spellman, are always there. Like it's incredible the level that they're playing at. And if you start looking at the averages that they're putting up, especially Sevada, like if you're not low 90s, you're probably not going to be in the match.
Mm-hmm.
And
to your point,
you see those other guys that can shoot the mid 90s, higher 90s, can kind of snag him, but you very rarely see entire matches off from any of those guys at this point.
Yeah, and we'll now look into, as we turned into weekend 5, which was outside of Chicago, to your point that, that was a weekend where, there are weekends where you get seeds busted up and, fairy tale stories come through. But this was a weekend where it seemed, the top 5, some permutation of 4 out of the top 5 seeds were in those semis all the time. It was like you just said, if Spellman at the 5 would break through, or Gates would hold on, and Cameron was there, and it really was those players at the top of the rankings showing why that they've earned the the king of the hill seat for that. So now let's go look at those results. Let's look at the results for weekend number 5. So there you go. I'll quickly run those through. So Spellman, yep, takes Cameron in event number 11. And this was sort of a what people have been waiting for Spellman. I heard. I think Stowe was talking about it that Alex looked really good down in Florida in the weeks leading up to this. So the murmurs were Alex is ready to bust out, and a 7-0 win in the final with the 97 average in event 11. And then Buntz comes back. Buntz now puts up his 4th win of the season with the 7-3 win over Spellman. So Spellman stays hot there on Saturday evening when we went to a win by 2 format. So, Buntz picks his up, and then, the drought is over. I was thinking that whole day. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was like 6 events. Oh my goodness, Adam Sevada is in a big drought. But no, he busts the drought in event 13 by taking a 7-2 win over Darryl Christie. So again, a lot of the big names right there in the finals. So we've got interviews with everybody, but any take or any look at those 3 wins for Spellman, Buntz, and Sevada in weekend 5.
No, I mean, other than, again, just the consistency, and that's what the CDC Tour has brought these players. There's plenty of people that can pop off and play a best of 7, best of 9, and best of 11, and shoot those higher averages. But when you see this leg in, leg out, match after match, I start to look at when these guys are losing. And if you look at what was it, event 10, I think it took a 90 from Gates to press Sevada, and a 97 from Stowe in the final to beat him. You look at Sevada, the next day he loses in the quarterfinals to a 96 from Darryl Christie. Those kind of numbers, even in losses, have to feel really good for players like that. And when you start actually flip flopping it to hey, I won with X, to hey, I have to shoot this good in order to move on. I think that really that's turning a corner for North American darts overall. We're not just looking at winning averages anymore. We're like, oh my gosh, this is one of the highest losing averages. And I know that's come up in the past. I know Doug Bame.
Dougie. Yeah, exactly. Doug's like, oh, good. You bring me up again.
Yeah, but yeah, those are the things. And that's why it's so fun also kind of being on the front end of commentating for this group. And being able to see kind of these transitions from what we're looking at, and being able to talk to a 9-1 Larry Butler in finals. I think, okay, this is done and dusted. We're in the 10th year, 11th year. What are you guys?
The 11th year, yeah.
11th year. We're like, okay, we've got one that'll stick around for a while, and dude is 2 away from it.
Crazy.
Yeah, relatively short amount of time as well. Again, just going back to the to the winning percentage of Sevada of tournaments entered is incredible. So again, I like to look at all of those kind of aspects of it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch either of the last 2 weekends that you guys had, but it's almost more fun to pour through just the match events. You see a 7-6, you're like, okay, what happened in that last leg?
There's a lot of meat on that bone. Yeah, you want to dive into that, and I know that. Yeah, you're really good at that. You're able to break down those reports and have a take on a match.
Yeah, and again, it can feel a little cold sometimes, just because you're not kind of sitting on the edge of your seat while you're watching it. But I think it also gives you a really good perspective of just how many times those guys did it. There was one, I forget what event it was, but Cameron won 2 or 3 last leg deciders in a row, and it was quarterfinals, semifinals, maybe back to the top 16. it's just super fun to kind of break them down when you don't know what happened. I sometimes cover the top of my match results when I'm kind of going through there, just to kind of work my way up through what happened.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Kind of feel it and watch the turns on the match that you can really see in that Dark Connect report. So I wanted to circle back to one fun little thing, just that idea that we're tracking the all-time finals records and everything. So I said on air, I was thinking about that little meme. I don't know if you're familiar with it. There's an older guy with a fishing rod, and it's like you could almost there, right? So Sevada comes in. He's 7-1. He's right there. They go the distance to the last leg decider. So he's on the precipice of going 8-1 and having Butler in his sights. But nope, Buntz gets him. So that drops Sevada to 7-2. So now he's got to win 11 in a row to go to 18-12 to match Butler. Like, so close, yet now so far. Just crazy.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I gotta win 11 in a row now. Oh boy.
Well, I tell you what, if anyone can do it, it's that guy. I mean, he's just playing so good. Again, I keep repeating myself, like the consistency. That's what we've always been missing with North American darts, and we just continue to see that portion of the game just continue to rise, and that's why you continue to see people do better and bigger, bigger and better on bigger stages.
So we suspect that we've been talking about this whole 9-1 record thing so much that the Butler household now is to the point where, like, when Sevada lost, that they might have popped champagne like the '72 Dolphins. Like, the record is intact.
That's funny.
So let's now quickly let's listen to each winner, and then we'll respond if there's anything that we want to chat about. So let's hear from the winner of event number 11, Alex Spellman.
How does it feel to be back in the winner's circle for a CDC event?
Confident. I don't know. That's the only word I can think of, because right now, this weekend, last weekend was the first time, I just felt like I can actually win the event. Not I hope I win the event, or I just hope I play well. Last night was I played excellent. Made today feel so much easier. But I just, before I knew it was there, but now I just needed that confidence, and I think it's almost all the way there.
And that's what reports were that Alex had, and we'll talk about it in our sort of second segment rundown. But there were some big events in Florida, and word was that he was just building up that momentum. So he talked about it in that clip. Any reaction to that?
No, I mean, I would even put that back to the bull shooter. I don't know if you saw his post after he went out in the ESPN event. It was something to the effect of, he thought he had like the best practice that he had into it, and I had even kind of tipped him to make it, and it just didn't happen for him all day in that event. So to me, just as like remembering being in kind of those kind of positions where you think you're playing well and going into an event, to see him come back from that and actually actualize some of that confidence that he was seeing in practice is actually really, really impressive. Like that's almost more impressive than just kind of running the table, because that can really wear on you when you think you're playing well and it just doesn't happen for you at a big event. The next one gets that much tougher, and Alex is clearly able to overcome that. So it was great to see.
Yeah, he's back to being that real impressive and dangerous Spellman. So I think everybody should be on the lookout as we turn the table and head towards the Continental Cup. So let's hear from the winner of event 12, and that was Sto Buntz.
Taking your 9th CDC Tour title. This is your 4th title of the year. Is it safe to say that you're delivering a statement here?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm finally starting to catch my groove. I feel comfortable playing, and I usually do well at the back end of the year. So this is where I usually step it up, is the summertime and throughout the fall.
Some would say you're peaking at the right time. Obviously, we've got one more weekend plus an event tomorrow.
Yeah.
Going to the Continental Cup. Continental Cup, you happen to win that. There's the Grand Slam. You obviously made a name for yourself there. How much is the opportunity internationally crossing your mind right now?
Oh, it's that's what the light at the end of the tunnel is. Getting to be able to qualify for Wolverhampton or Worlds. Right, that's the golden nugget at the end of the rainbow. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and with that, you saw Peter Cetera in there mention that with that win, Buntz moved into 4th all time, passing Darren Young's 8 wins. So Buntz is doing historic stuff here at the CDC. Let's listen to Sevada, and then you can give me a reaction on the last 2 interviews. So Sevada then wins his 8th event with a 7-2 win over Christie. So let's hear from Adam, and then we'll close out.
How big was this win?
Oh, it was huge. I came in last event with Indy. Kind of had a slow weekend, all weekend, to be fair. This weekend I came in, and my keyword for myself was separate. I need to separate myself and keep going. And thankfully I did that, and yeah, it was massive. That would be huge. I mean, that's what we all played the game for. Alley Pally. I mean, when I started playing darts, I didn't even know that existed. And now that I know it existed, I mean, that's what we all want to be, and I want to be there.
Yeah, we'll look at the standings, and a word has come down. Congratulations, Adam Sevada. He has officially booked a place at the PDC 2026 World Championships. So any, wrap up in terms of both of those guys, that Buntz clip and the Sevada clip, our 2, are 1 and 2 big dogs right now in the standings.
I mean, the only thing I would say is I really like how they're talking about it. I mean, Stowe, I really like how kind of self-reflective it is. Like, this is where I usually come up big. This is where, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. This is why I'm doing this. That kind of talk is extremely mature, and it bodes very well for Stowe. He's kind of always done that since he started getting his way into the winner's circle. And same thing with Sevada. Just I love how they talk about the game. Separation. One of the things that I used to say before matches is uninteresting. I want to make this. I don't want to be 7-6. I want this to be interesting. So to hear him say something like separate is, I completely understand that mindset. I think it's a great one for him. It comes with added pressure internally, but if you can handle that as well, anything the other guy throws at you is not going to be a problem.
Yeah, that part jumped out at me too. I like the way he said that. I came in and, like you said, separate. I've got a goal here and put distance between myself. You said something earlier, and I just wanted to ask, from your expertise and your experience as a top player, you talked about, a lot of the averages that are being thrown now. Talk to us about what that does to a player's preparation when, you walk into a CDC room, you know that there's going to be, not just a handful of guys, a wheelbarrow full of guys that can put up these serious averages. What is that, from a player who never got there? I imagine, does that affect your prep that, while I'm warming up for this at home and my routines, is there an emphasis on I need to score big?
It always was for me, but honestly, I think I probably put too much focus on it. I look at averages. It's funny we're talking about averages. I just saw a clip with Paul Nicholson, and he was talking about how he doesn't put as much stock in there. And his description was a 13 darter is the same as a 15 darter in terms of the number of turns to the board. One's 100 average, one's 115, which I understand that, but I think to be able to compare across wins and losses and different tournaments and different organizations, I think that's the best way to look at it. You can't just look at wins, and at a certain point, you have to know what the standard's going to be. And that's something that I've always talked about with the CDC overall. I look at the average for the overall tournament, hovering in the 74 to 76. It started when I first started playing in like the 68 to 72 range. So that says a lot about what the competition's doing. So I think you have to look at what the standard is. As far as the hole that you can fall into is trying to play against that standard every leg. You have to look at it in a group or a set of legs in order to kind of understand where you need to be. They're not all going to be 13 darters. Some people can do that, but realistically, when you're preparing for something, that if that's the standard that you're looking for, you're usually going to come up bummed. So that's something in my opinion, you have to be aware of. But it has to be in the right mind, the right set of circumstances. You can't look for it leg on leg. It has to be, what is my average? That's what you're looking to raise.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you giving us a little bit of insight. And I wanted to include in this segment, as we look back on, the last 2 weekends, but overall conversation about the weekends that we've had here in 2025. I want to bring in Jeff McMahon. Are you around? There we go, and we get a beautiful picture too.
Well, hey there, Anthony.
Hey, what I want to really do is I want to give people an idea of what really went on this season, and and give you guys back there in production the flowers, the accolades that you deserve. But also, I want people to understand what's going on. Almost, with not a lot of notice, as the season was just about to open up, Peter Cetera came to you and David Irene. You said, task both of you guys. How many boards can we expand to? We're streaming at one solid. We had an occasional 2 last year, pretty good. But where can you take this thing? And you guys got to 5. You confidently said we can deliver you 5 boards. So. I want to tell you how phenomenal it's been to be able to, pull up that much action. And I got a lot of good thoughts in my head, and I'm trying to. I want you to tell us from behind the scenes what it took to get those boards up and running. It's not as simple as heading down to Walmart and picking up a few extra webcams. So kind of walk us through that. Of course, don't give away any secrets if we, that you're pulling off. But what does it look like behind the scenes? How many units are you using? What is your, output on all your monitors now? How is things changed back there? And how did you pull this off?
Well, I'll upload the PDF of everything for the public to use. No problem. It was, it was an interesting task that Peter had asked us for. A couple weeks before we went live, and David and I put our heads together, and we just figured out, given certain constraints that we have with the venues and whatnot, because venues were already tasks, scheduled way ahead of time. So that was probably our main concern, was just, how can we efficiently upload the number of feeds that need to be done in order to pull this off. So we went ahead and, we figured out the schematics of it. That didn't take us too long. And then we get to Niagara, and we worked with the hotel there to make sure that we had enough bandwidth. And one thing I remember, we had talked about it, and Angelo DiGiulio brought it up, was, God, it would be so nice if we could do a quad split outside in the hallway or for the players, so they can now see all the boards. Because last year we did 2 boards. The year before we did 1 board. So we transitioned from 1 board and graduated to 2, which people saw. Board 2 I think was typically on our Facebook feed, and then this year we moved up to 5. And so it was a logistical nightmare to figure out how to do it on stream, but then also give it in-house as well, because those are 2 completely separate animals for us. So it took, as you saw, 4 weekends, some trial and error. I mean, we tried to do 2 or 3 boards in Toronto, and we were having issues up there with the internet, so that went over like a fart in church. But last weekend it went really well. I was really happy with how we did it. So, yeah, we ended up getting a quad split into the players' practice room, which I have. If people haven't seen it, this is just a quick photo.
Yeah, show us this
Of
quad.
what it looks like. So that's what the players saw, and then we also were able to bring that on stream as well into board one, which was interesting because some of the powers that be, would email me saying, "Hey, we're seeing multiple boards now on board one. Is there a problem?" It's like, no, there's no problem. This is in between matches. We're showing some other stuff. And what was nice about this setup was it also then provided me the possibility, as we concluded board action on a couple of boards, I was able for the finals or semifinals, I was able to show two of the other boards while board one was just sitting there, because normally, as our viewers would know, we will sit there ad nauseum replaying the same 5-6 minute commercial block over and over and over again, and then we end up losing viewers and whatnot. So having the ability now to bring in the quad split that you as commentators can talk about, being able to pare down, 2 or 3 boards as we just have to build it out, which we have to do in the production software. Slowly but surely, it will, it'll manifest itself into something really nice, and I think it was a good start last weekend.
Oh, I've got a lot to give you on that. I cannot tell you how well received that quad shot was. I picked up the phone to contact one of my partners and said, I love this. I think this is beautiful, and I think we can do, based on where we want to get certain pieces of content, we can use this thing in multiple places. And it turns out I wasn't the only one that was reacting that way. So kudos on something that really excited a lot of people. I should also mention, we should talk about, there's a tournament side led by Peter Cetera. They did a great job on now setting up these great, little lanes, if you will, that are the streaming, so now you walk into a CDC room, you've got these nice, cutout lanes that the players get to play in. You guys set them up beautifully with the cameras, and it's just been awesome. And like you said, this weekend looked great, ran great, and I really hope this comes across as genuine as I mean it. We've had some weekends where, a couple of hiccups, a couple of stub toes and things, but I, in commentary, always sort of mutter, by the time we get to the semifinals, everybody will have forgotten about it because things are going to be running smooth. And what I mean by that, that's a genuine belief in the team that's back there. Like, I truly believe in you guys, and I know what you're capable of. So, and it happens that way. The second last 64 match, no disrespect to any players that are in the match, and something doesn't get streamed right, but you guys always cross the finish line at a high level, delivering a great product, and you get the bugs fixed out. And I mean that with tons of respect to yourself and David Irene. And I know we had Will Stewart, on site last weekend, but you boys have really done a great job this year, and I wanted to make sure that everybody out there knew it.
Yeah, appreciate it. And I want to give Will a shout out too, because he's not just another hand. He's a guy like me. He's a guy that understands exactly what we're using as far as hardware and software goes. So it's like we're two conjoined twins. And so it was one of the catalysts of being able to work out the quad splits, because I knew I could walk away or he could walk away and we can work on different things, knowing that we didn't have to necessarily look over the person's shoulder that was sitting there cutting the show. So I was really, I'm very relieved when Will shows up, because I know it's a sniper in the foxhole, so to speak. And what I would say, I would love to see in the chat, I'll probably get hammered for this one, but we talked afterwards about that quad split. And given how things are now on the streaming side, we stream to PDC TV, how lovely would it be to have a channel dedicated to a quad split? So I would like to hear about that. And, I don't know.
Since you said it out loud, that's what I messaged to one of my partners, was that, like, I would like this to be a destination. But again, it's the conversation of, you want to drive people to to
exactly.
to
It's
you know,
way above my pay grade,
absorb
so I'm
content,
just
right? So
throwing it out there
but-
as somebody that gets that
Gotta
viral
work-
response as well. What's that?
You got to work
What'd you say?
for it. Red zone.
Yeah, exactly.
You got
that-
like
And
what's-
that's exactly what we were thinking. It's just like NFL
we
Red
got to
Zone.
workshop it, but yeah, I think from a viewer experience, I think if that was a destination somewhere, and then of course, obviously, each board is still available in other places. You could pull it up to have it more isolated. But
Right.
if you want to sit back and take a look at the the sort of the whole story unfolding in front of you, I thought it was a wonderful experience. So
Thoughts for
I
next
agree
year?
with you that that's going there. There will be a home found for that shot on a regular basis. I'm certain of it. So,
And I just want
Go
to say to you, I agree with you. Sometimes on the beginning matches that we come out of the chute on, there are some technical hitches or glitches here and there, and I certainly apologize to the players where that happens onto them. But it's a live event, and unfortunately, no matter how much prep we do, we don't know until we hit that go live button. And so usually the first match on the first night is, if anybody wants to look, that's usually the one that has any kind of real issues. And then everything goes really well the next two events and the next two nights. That's normally
by Sunday it's just
operetta
by Sunday
moments,
it's
yeah.
cake. Yes, it's super sweet. So that's our first segment. I want to thank Gordon for giving us some insight and Jeff jumping on with us. So we just sort of remind everybody that you can, please leave comments and ask questions in the chat. We may, if you've got anything interesting, we'll take a peek at those later on in the show. And as we transition into our next segment, we want to let everybody know exciting news. The tickets are on sale now for the CDC Continental Cup. North America's best dart players battling it out live in Philadelphia. 2 days of nonstop action, every dart, every finish, and the energy that only you can feel in person. So come join us October 18th and 19th. Let's make a correction on that. It's October 17th and 18th. Sorry, folks. I had my text wrong. Get your tickets today at champdarts.com. We're going to have a great time at the Columbia Social Club again. So, yeah, please come on down. You see Gordon and I talk about these players, so the standard is going to be just, kick ass. The crowd's going to be great. Come down, have a great time. All right. So tickets are on sale now for the 2025 CDC Continental Cup Tour Finals Championship. So, if you will, Jeff, now we're going to have a little fun. Let's get to our second segment, which we coin a little darts around the world rundown. I'm going to throw some things at Gordon, and we've got 2 minutes to go over them. So let's see this cool little graphic that Jeff put together.
Are you ready? And now, darts around the world!
I always love Jeff's music choices. I truly do. It's so great. You know what genre tickles his fancy. It's so good. All right. So here we go. Bingo. We open up with Luke Littler wins the 2025 PDC World Match Play 18-13 over James Wade. So what I want to propose to you, though, also, Gordon, is do you buy into, Sky Sports was using the Triple Crown moniker, which is the World Championship, Premier League, and Match Play. So Littler, by their metrics, has won the career Grand Slam, only done by Taylor, Van Gerwen, Anderson, and Humphrey. So do you buy in to the Triple Crown thing? And, how do you feel about that talk?
I like it. I think anytime that we're stealing from more mainstream sports and have something of our own to kind of be recognized in that way, I think it's great. The green jacket or whatever those kind of things are, I think are welcome. I would like to see us to steal from Sevada, separate, and maybe it's not Triple Crown. Maybe we can add a fourth in there to again just to show it's a little bit harder. Maybe we find something that one of those guys hasn't done, which is probably impossible. But
yeah, when you're looking at Phil Taylor, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I completely buy into that. I love that. And as much as the bravado of Lidler kind of is frustrating this early in his career, I think it's well deserved at this point. I mean, he's playing great, and it was great to see him, and he almost did it in the same year. So that's kind of the next step for it.
Yeah, that was going to be my last point on that. Was the year before he wins the Premier League, takes it from Humphreys. Humphreys got 2 out of the 3 there. So yeah, both of those guys are really close to doing this in the same calendar year. All right, now we move down to Florida, and what a big month in Florida. A lot of big events, and we're going to talk about them. So you were on site, and you were privileged to be part of the the crew doing the ESPN Bull Shooter Invitational, and we saw Kevin Luke take Mike Maloney in that final, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
So, walk us through that, and then also let us know, what is that, an event like that, a real marquee event, do for the soft tip community?
Well, it's a giant weekend for us. I mean, we talk about it on the coverage, what it means to the players, what it means to kind of the sport overall. I mean, I wouldn't even say just given the limited access that we have for any darts on TV, on mainstream TV here in the United States, it's always a day for us to shine. And while it is still part of the Ocho, I know that was something that DJ and I, the very first year that it happened, had some questions on whether or not this was going to be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And we were luckily paired with a great guy, Evan Budrovic, that has done it with us for the past 4 years. That we felt it was given its due, and I don't think that's changed. And how can you get away from the amount of money that's put into that? I mean, $12,000 for first is absolutely incredible. So great to see for the players. It does give a more national spotlight on it, and I think we take advantage of it as best we can each year.
And Kevin Luke bouncing back from a runner-up the year before, and everybody was happy to see Kevin. He's played his heart out, and you could see how important that victory was to him.
And some bonus time on the Ocho sports desk afterwards. I was glad to see that too.
Absolutely. So well done by Kevin Luke. So now we stay in Florida, and we see the return, August 8th to 10th, the return of the ADO USA Darts Classic. So, I know Gordon has participated. This was a tournament that was pretty standard. As I thought about talking to you about it, I'm like, I remember Gordon really wasn't in love with Connecticut. But it really was a convergence of, a lot of the best players playing that East-West thing. So this was a lot of big WDF points on offer for the weekend. So quickly, kudos to Alex Spellman and Vince Tipple, winning both of the Open WDF singles, silver singles, I should say, and Liz Tynan and Paula Murphy winning the women's WDF silver singles. So, and of course, you could find a lot of results on Dart Connect. There were a lot of other events, pairs and whatnot, but those were your marquee events as the USA Darts Classic comes back.
Yeah, love to see it. Taking advantage of. I like when dart organizers are taking advantage of favorable conditions, and I think that's something that that they were certainly doing by moving that down to Florida, and just being able to put on that event and have the turnout that they did. I know they've gone solidly in the direction of the WDF as far as ranking points and stuff like that. Anything that gives dart players an opportunity to play on bigger stages, I'm all for. I just I want to see that growth continue, and maybe a little bit more transparency on where they're headed with that stuff.
And As you can tell, folks, we're going to stay with the next event still in Florida. Now, we bookended with CDC. We had a weekend before these 3 weekends, and we had one after. Like, I don't know why we weren't in Florida. Now that I look back on it, maybe everybody should have just had an RV and drove all around Florida. But so we move on. We want to touch on DPFL Live. It's been a growing event. I think this is their 4th year. I'm not sure. Maybe the 3rd. So something that continues to grow each year. Again, more WDF points to be had there. They put on themselves 2 silver singles. So congrats to Stowe Buntz, who picked up the Open. And congrats to Laura Turner. We all know and love Laura from her commentary work over in England. She came over to play, and she picked up the women's silver. And there was also some PDC players came over, and there was a nice little exhibition that featured Raymond Van Barneveld and Jermaine Wadamina, and they took on Stowe Buntz and Alex Spellman. So give us a little take on what's been going on there with DPFL and that live event, if you've tracked it at all.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually looked into playing that one just because, live steel tip darts from my office. I'm all for it. But no, there's certainly an organization to watch out for. Some shenanigans, to say the least, in their past. But everyone that I've spoke to, including the streamers affiliated with DPFL, have nothing but great things to say. And attracting the names that they are to come over and play for the weekend is great to see. Again, just more opportunities for large stage darts in North America. I don't know that there's a whole lot you can say bad about it.
Yeah, they, like as you touched on, they've got an online component where you can play during the week, and this was a sort of convergence where you didn't have to be in the league, but they do a great job of using Dart Connect and its numbers to track the players. And again, you can go to Dart Connect and see all of the events that they ran that weekend. So if you want to see further results, so now we finish up with a great achievement. We want to congratulate the silencer Jeff Smith. He wins the Modus Super Series Series 11. With a 4-3 win over Jimmy Van Ski. I'm trying to say it right because I can hear Phil Bars in my head. Van Ski. So he beats old James. He beats James 4-3. The first North American to win a series. For those uninitiated, Modus runs a series, and each series is 12 weeks long. And each of those 12 weeks, they have tournaments inside each week. So they have Group A, B, and C, and 6 days of darts, and the finals day on Saturday. So then they have a champion for each of those weeks. Then those champions progress to the end of the series, which Jeff moved into that Series 11 finale, and he wins that. They've only had, obviously, if there's 11, there's been 10 winners. Luke Littler is the only player who've won it twice. So for Jeff to pick up a complete series win was a big deal.
Well, it's a big deal. It's a big paycheck. I'm sure he looks at that like job done for all of the travel and sacrifice that it takes to go over there and play that kind of stuff. I don't know if you were going to mention it, but I believe Spellman and Brandon were actually playing this afternoon.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I would sort of marry that in here with So Jeff takes that win and now slides into Modus this week is playing the international pairs. So Jeff Smith is with Dawson Merschel. A lot of people really interested to see Dawson play. It's been, I think, 2.5 years in commentary that he's played real serious competitive darts. I peeked in early this week. Kid looked pretty good. The chops that we always saw he had. They played well. They were in Group A. They didn't come out on top. I think they finished third in the group, which pushed them into B. And to your point, yes, today started Group B with the introduction of Alex Spellman and Jason Brandon as Team USA. And as I look at Merschel and Smith top the table, I think they play for another day, but because it's 5 teams, so they got 4 matches today. They went 3-1. Our U.S. boys, unfortunately, went 1-3. But you can see Jeff just really clicking this week, coming off that big win and, in a respectful way, doing Jeff Smith things, right? Scoring at appropriate times, and the finishing is just killer right now. So I think that they're a legitimate force potentially in this international pairs.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, Dawson was the question mark, is the question mark. We expect Jeff to play leg on leg extremely well, but yeah, it was great to see. I didn't know that he had like a run up. Like I haven't seen results where he was playing at all. Obviously, he was hitting the practice board somewhere to get ready for this, and yeah, whatever he was doing is translating into to good play.
I'm sure, and I mean this respectfully to Dawson, I'm sure, when Jeff, thought about him and wanted to play, I'm sure that there was a conversation, and I'm sure Jeff, had some sort of gauge on, where's his mind, where, is he ready for this? And yeah, as you said, I'm sure once you get that call from the silencer that, hey kid, let's, let's go, let's hit this, then he was hitting the practice board and putting in the proper due diligence, and it's definitely paying. Or showing, I should say. He's been
Sure.
impressive this week, and Brandon and Spellman are going to settle down. Alex struggled a little bit today. Jason looked pretty good. It was first time Jason has been on that Modus stage, so I would definitely expect a different performance tomorrow from Team USA. So we'll keep tabs on that. So a real great, another great week over at the Modus Super Series. So that, my friends, is our rundown for darts around the world. So we're going to take a little transition, and then Gordon and I are going to put a cap on this night by having a little fun looking at the rankings. So as we transition into our next segment, let me get my notes here. We want to remind you that you can subscribe to the CDC newsletter. Okay, so if you go to champdarts.com, you can sign up for the newsletter. And right now, you are going to get first crack at the Continental Cup tickets. I think that there's an offer that if you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get an email and you'll get first grab at a certain section, and then the rest of it is going public. All right. Also on the newsletter, you get great news about what's going on with the CDC, information on our amazing sponsors. We appreciate them so much, and they've got great promos for you. They've got awesome, products for you to play and to wear, and just to, bring your game to the next level. All right. So get signed up for the CDC newsletter today. All right. So let's move into our final segment, and what we're going to go over with Gordon. We're going to have some fun. Let's look at, to get everybody's appetite wet for the weekend 6 in Indy. We're going to look at the current rankings and talk about a few things going on. So let's look first at the top 16 coming out of weekend 5 after 13 events. So let me move my screen so I can see it all. So there you go. As we talked about, Adam Sevada, I've got my little list here of stuff that we're blessed that the players get a chance to pursue. So there's a few things going on. For the number 1 seed, whoever finishes at the end of the year in that 1 spot wins the Jay Tomlinson Trophy. A nod to a guy that we all worked for and was a mentor to a lot of us. So the Jay Tomlinson Trophy goes to your number 1 seed, but now, as a great sweetener to that, the player in that spot now gets to register straight into phase 2 of PDC Q School in January. And I will have you note that that's where Jim Long came through last year in phase 2 and earned his card, right? So with the math there, I don't know that Adam has technically locked that up, right? I would imagine that Stowe can still grab him for the 1. So we can't say that Adam is got that PDC Q School spot, but we have been told that he's, locked into the worlds, to the PDC worlds. Because I'll get out of the way in a second, Gordon, but let me set the table again. So there's 3 spots on offer here in the 2025 tour. The highest ranked American player, which right there is Adam Sevada. Your highest ranked Canadian player, which is David Cameron, in that 3rd spot with 86 points. But then there's a sort of a wild card, the highest ranked non-qualified player, and that would be Stowe Buntz there at 131. So there's 3 spots going to the Worlds, and there's that little teaser going to Q School.
Yeah. So a couple of iterations that may come around. As you said, I'm sure with the points still on offer before these places are finalized, I'm sure there's some opportunities, or maybe mathematically is probably a better way to say that, that can happen. But again, with the way that each of those top 4 players have been finishing, it's tough to see where they can continue to separate themselves from one another, because at some point Stowe would need to win and Sevada go out early. And with these are the rankings, so that's how they're going to fall into the tournament. They're going to be separated, so there's not even a chance for like Stowe to play Adam early to try to knock him out. So some of these mathematical possibilities are really going to come down to how the players play coming down the stretch, because they're not going to be able to do their own work for lack of better terms this time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you earn 18 points for a win, right? So there's, that's 54 points that could be earned. But like really exactly to your point, it's not just that part. You're also looking for a little bit of help, because as those players, any of those permutations there, Sevada, Buntz, Cameron, Spellman, Gates, as they start to tick away those rounds, those are points that they're just putting on the board, and they can't be taken away. So like you said, it's got to be do your own work and then get a little help by somebody else knocking those top guys off. It's almost got to be pronto. It's got to be first or second round exits, because even just a few wins for Sevada and Buntz just he puts them to a place that they're untouched.
They can't be caught. Now I know he probably doesn't want to remember this, but David Cameron, to that kind of talk, was caught very late by Jim Long last year in his run to the Canadian spot for the World Championships. So it's not that it can't be done. It's just there's a little help on the other guys aside from what numbers you're putting up and finishes that you're putting up in the tournaments.
Yeah, and currently in second is Darryl Christie. Is second in terms of Canadian players, 6th overall in the rankings. So Cameron at 86 and Christie at 63. So some cushion there for Cameron. But to your point, he's certainly going to go into that last weekend with last year on his mind and coming in to do some business. So that'll be interesting to see, Excalibur's push there in weekend 6. Another wrinkle that we've been offered, right? The newly, debuted or sort of, rebranded Winmau World Championship, World Masters that took place at the end of January last year. And that's going to happen again. So we've been given, 8 spots. So you look here at the rankings for our audio viewers. I'll run it down quickly. Sevada, Buntz, Cameron, Spellman, Gates, Christie, Brandon, Mawson, with Mawson sitting at 57 points. And there's your top 8. So it's another thing to watch in that last weekend of players finishing in the top 8 that now get an opportunity to go to that Winmau World Masters.
Yeah, a lot of different permutations for that in terms of what could happen. Especially, 9 through 11, only 10 points away, 18 for a win. We've seen at least Doug win on the tour before. Kylie Edmonds making deep runs. Again, just all kinds of opportunities. So those guys in 7 and 8, probably 6, 7 and 8, probably going to continue to have to finish well. But again, we talked about Darryl Christie. I expect big things from him each time. At this point, he has had a great summer.
Absolutely, and to the listener's point, there's Doug Boehm at 9, ranked 9 with 55 points. So you're right there behind Mawson, and you've got Edmonds, Newberry, Young, Lindbergh, McHargue, Taylor, and rounding out with Butler, and that's your current top 16. And Butler has 37 points. So, yeah, what we'll do is, before we get to what is on offer at the Continental Cup, we'll look at now the race and the fight to get into that Continental Cup, right? So top 16 goes to Philadelphia. So we saw Larry Butler sitting at 16, but there's players behind him. Jim Long, Joey Lenoir, 36 apiece. John Part at 34, down to Tyler Reddy in the 20th spot with 30 points. So there's some play there, Gordon, going into weekend 6 to make that Continental Cup.
Yeah, some opportunities for some players that haven't played in that event before. That is a good kind of yearly reminder of how well you did over the tournament series. So that's something that everybody will have a push for sure.
Yeah, we certainly think that as well. To your point, this is a championship that's earned after 16 events this year. So a lot of darts that are played to get yourself into that last 16, which qualifies you for the Continental Cup. And then in that Continental Cup, couple of cool things go on this year. We're excited to announce that the winner has been upped to $5,000. So there's $5,000 first place prize. The Continental Cup title itself, which we hope is a prestigious title. Winner goes to Madison Square Garden. Next year for the U.S. Masters. The winner also goes to the Grand Slam based on what happened in New York with the North American Championship. So that spot now goes to the Continental Cup. And now newly announced, when they expanded the field to 128 in the PDC Worlds, the Continental Cup is a regular spot now. So you win the Continental Cup, you're going to New York, you're going to Wolverhampton, and you're going to London, along with the $5,000 we're given to you. So, I've heard estimates that could be nearly a $40,000 win based on those, prize monies and events that you get to play. So Continental Cup's a big deal, Gordon Dixon.
Yeah, no, and it's just risen in its prominence. I saw in the notes there, biggest homegrown title on the continent. I love that. I think that's a great way to kind of position it. And again, this is something this is a carrot on top of the work that you've done throughout the normal tour. And again, I've talked about the top 4 and how well they've been playing and finishing. You could probably go down to top 6, but anything can happen in a one-off tournament like that. I always look at it like the Players Championship when the Players Championship final. I mean, in that kind of a format, the rankings, yes, they're important for kind of spreading out those top seeds. But as soon as one of them fall, that person, whoever took their advantage or took their opportunity, now holds that seeding. So it's always fun to watch those kind of play out.
Yeah, and the Continental Cup kind of turns into like a two-faceted thing. On Friday night, you've got your round 1, so players come in with the mindset of it's one match. I prep for one. I'm done for that night. And like you talked about, there's big names, players coming in with accolades for the year, but there's no guarantees to that. There's going to be tough players in those 12s, 14, 16 spots that are going to be capable of potential upsets. And then you go into the second night where now it's top 8 and you've got to now win 3 matches on stage. So it's kind of, dual faceted mindset wise from a player who's going to win that championship. You get into Saturday, now there's multiple places to reset, to regroup and continue to, have that physical stamina to go through 3 long format matches and eventually raise the Continental Cup championship. And I'm glad you like that. I'm going to let the marketing team know about that. The how did I phrase it? I should know. I got my notes. The
notes you sent me. Title on the continent.
Yes, I think because there's big events, but I think there's a lot of pride in the work that it takes to come through those 16 events. and truly be crowned a champion of the continent. So lots to. Yep, and we've got some comments. Sally Kelly, Danny Young making a great run for a new player. Absolutely, there were some names in those rankings that we looked at. Danny Young was one of them. We talked about the run at Dow Christie. Chris McCarg is up there. Probably, I think he was ranked 12th or 13th. So that's been a storyline this summer. Is not just watching the like you talk about, Gordon, those top four that have been just so ferocious, but there's been weekends where we've seen players really break through, have their moments, and are looking to make Philadelphia, right, where there's now another chance to be on camera and on stage. So if you want to join us for the Continental Cup, you can check out champdarts.com and you can pick up tickets October 17th and 18th in Philadelphia. So the last little thing that we want to have some fun with is the other big, what we coined out, one of our majors, if you will, is the cross-border darts challenge. Okay, so that will take place again this coming spring, but the way we select the teams is we look at the rankings for the end of the season. Okay, so that competition is a Team USA versus Team Canada. Okay, and what we do is at the end of the rankings, it's the top 6 from each nation that gets the invite, and then to round out the roster of each team, we have a couple of wild cards. So if Jeff has that graphic, we'll take a look at it. So there you go. There is the top 8 on each side, so you can see where some wiggle room and where some fighting might be had in weekend 6. So right now, as it stands, Gordon Dixon, your two teams would look like this. Team USA would be Sevada, Buntz, Spellman, Gates, Brandon, Mawson. Team Canada would be Cameron, Christie, Edmonds, Taylor, Long, and Part. That, my friend, sounds like a pretty darn good competition.
Yeah, that's that looks like a lot of fun. Coming off a perfect bracket from my last cross border, I don't know.
Bravo!
I can do that again.
I love the drop in there. Bravo! Well deserved, Mr. Dixon.
This is super fun. With still some stuff to kind of be worked out. I mean, would anybody be shocked if a Ross Snook snuck in there? I tried to make the pun work. It didn't happen.
Well played. Yeah, certainly not. Right? That's why I wanted to sort of see it in this context, because the players from the two different nations get spread out when you're looking at it in the other rankings. But right there, Mawson at 57 isn't by no means in a safe spot. Even Brandon and Mawson at 59, 57 respectfully, 5-6 for the U.S. Bame and Newberry. Bame with 55 certainly is right there to take one of those spots. And then you look on the Canadian side, Jim Long, John Part at 36 and 34 respectfully. You've got Tyler Reddy with 30 and Ross Snook with 29 and a half. So yeah, there are definitely some changes that we could see in those lineups for the cross border during weekend 6.
Yeah, lots to play for. I look forward to following along, because I know that's one of the things that Sean likes to do too, is kind of keep up with where those points are landing and what each player is playing for in each of those matches and tournaments individually.
Instead of messaging you, I'll just say it out loud. Well, you could be sitting next to him if you're free that weekend, September 19th to 21st. Brother, come on, drive down to Indianapolis and sit next to Sean Green if you're available. But but that obviously stands. But you're right that this is going to be the fun of weekend 6, is to be able to sit with these points, watch the each round tick away as the draw comes out. Watch that on Friday night, what that does. Who locks in what, who's going to the Cup, who's going to the Winmore World Masters, who's going to the World Championships, that sort of stuff. And it just gets better and better to where Sunday is just almost a party. Like, you would put a cap on it, everybody's is working hard in a great mood. So we definitely want everyone to join us on PDC TV and YouTube for weekend number 6 as we put a cap on the 2025 Championship Darts Circuit, September 19th to the 21st. And that'll be a weekend where we have a Friday night event. It'll be Eastern time. So Friday night, 6 o'clock, Saturday at 12, and then Sunday at 11. So you've got darts each day over the course of that weekend. Let me ask Jeff, do we have anything in the chat to go to before we let Mr. Gordon go? I'm in the little message group. Kevin Luke, late to the party, but you still made the party, my friend. We gave you some flowers, and we want to congratulate you on your great ESPN Bullshooter Invitational win that my friend here, Gordon Dixon, was privileged to be on site. And Gordon, you did a great job, by the way. It's always great to hear you on that ESPN microphone. It's pretty awesome.
I appreciate that. It's really fun. Honestly, I wish they could cover the entire qualifying tournament the day before as well. That's a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you what's grinding Gordon's gears is he's fighting a cold that it seems most of this country is fighting, myself included. So we were trying to get Gordon, get him to bed, get some medicine. We're all going to take it easy. So this time, there's nothing serious grinding Gordon's gears outside of a little head cold. So if that's everything, I want to thank you, Gordon, for coming on. It's always a pleasure. If there's anything you want to wrap up with, anything that's been going on dart-wise that we didn't cover, if you want to touch on, whether it be PDC, you personally, or anything you want to plug, my friend.
No, I don't have anything yet. I do have some things in the works, some projects that are dart related coming up. And then I guess something that does go along the Q School. You guys gave me the green light. We'll be holding another Q School for the CDC at the Buckeye Open, the 42nd Buckeye Open, December 12th and 13th. It's a 2-day tournament. So December 12th will be the Q School at 1 o'clock. Come out and get your card.
Excellent. See, now there's a professional right there. And that reminds me, well, since we've been giving people flowers, let's acknowledge Vicky Romero, who does a great job when you see the pretty pictures that go out on Facebook, social media, and during our streams. Vicky does all that great work. So heads up, Vicky, I've got a couple of dates already for the Q School so we can get a graphic going, get it out this week. And as Gordon just told you, everybody, the turnout at Buckeye is always phenomenal. The staff, led by Gordon and a couple of the guys, is always great. So we're happy to be back. And yes, we're right around the corner from Q School season. So we'll have some of that info out. Expect another anywhere from 8, 10 to maybe even a dozen Q Schools. So opportunities to earn your card. So keep on a lookout for that. This weekend, I should also note, let's promo. We've got the 4th of our summer series events, the CDC Congressional, taking place at WADA. All right. You can also register on site for that. So you can go to champdarts.com and get info on that. It's a cool UK Open redraw style tournament. All right. So that will kick off things for the weekend at WADA. Our own Peter Cetera, I believe, is going to be on site to help run that. And then Aaron Quinn will be on site as we finish off with the last 3 events on both the Junior and the Evolution Tour. Okay. So some cool stuff is going to be, had at WADA. There'll be 3 juniors, as I said, that's 17 and under. And then the Evolutions is 16 to 23. So Gordon and I talked about opportunities for players going overseas. There's going to be stuff determined this weekend. There will be Team USA and Team Canada for the JDC Junior World Cup and Junior World Championship going to Gibraltar. That'll be determined this weekend. So keep tabs on social media for that. And then as well, we send 1 Canadian youth player and 1 USA player from that Evolution Tour. That's the up to 23 championship that you've seen that Gian Van Veen win, Luke Littler win, Michael Smith win. So, that's a prestigious, world championship for that age bracket. So we're really privileged and happy to send 2 young players to that. So keep tabs over the course of this weekend on that as well. So with that being said, I want to thank KJ behind the scenes for helping us get set. Of course, Jeff McMahon for hitting all the buttons, keeping things looking really pretty and smooth. We want to remind you, Continental Cup tickets, go check them out, champdarts.com. Sign up for the newsletter at champdarts.com. Get up to date on all cool stuff related to the CDC. Find us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok at Champ Darts, on YouTube at Champ Darts as well. We will be on a podcast platform. Like and subscribe that on Apple and Spotify. Give us a 5-star review. That will help the algorithm greatly. Okay. I just want to say thank you for all the time these past couple of years, for giving me the time and attention to cover a sport that I love so dearly. I've been so appreciative of it. And the last thing I will mention, on a somewhat serious note, we do love this sport. And if you're a member of this passionate sport that we love, and you're struggling with mental health issues or substance abuse, there is help and there is a solution. So ask somebody, and somebody will help you. Get in touch with me if you can find me on Facebook. All right. There is hope. There is a solution. You can still continue to play this amazing sport that we love, and do it the right way. All right. So with that, we will see you next month in September. We expect to be maybe September 25th. We'll see you. And that's it. That's all, folks. Take care. Till the next time, I'm Anthony Eugenia. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for Shooting the Bull, the official podcast of the Championship Darts Circuit. Subscribe to the show so you don't miss an episode, and follow us at Champ Darts on social media to keep up with all of the latest news on North American darts.
My gears are turning, my ears are burning. I got levels of knowledge, it's gotta come out. Diction is my name, good of my